Hello, we are live. This is Toni LaShaun, and this is Strength to Soar EP, how the EP came to life, a conversation with Jared Jones. So I'm going to invite Jared to join in with me. And we're live. All right. So I just introduced myself. I am Toni LaShaun, and I am an artist, songwriter, worship leader, author, and I just released my very first EP, Strength to Soar, and this is Jared Jones, who produced the EP, Strength to Soar, and Jared is, what can I say? I'm gonna give my own introduction, and then I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Okay.
So, so to me, Jared is a man of God, a family man. He is a worshiper. He's an artist. He's a producer, songwriter, dancer, just all around creative person. Super duper smart, metadata nerd. Um,
Yeah, I love that stuff.
me, a friend, mentor, and I'm just super excited to have this conversation with you, pull back the curtain a little bit, and let people in and see the process behind this. Because I know for me, like, when you see other people release music, when you see people release music, like I've watched you release music and some of my other co-writers, but when you see people release music, it seems like, oh, this is, like you just record a song and then you just put it out there, and it's such a
So much
more
more.
process than that. So first things first, introduce yourself to the people, Jared.
I'm Jared and I sing. That's it. Keep it simple. I'm a simple guy who loves making music, guys. Keep it simple. Love Jesus. Love my family. Yeah, that's it about me.
That's awesome. So, the first thing I want to talk about is how we met, because I've been going back through a whole lot of stuff lately, and I was trying to think, okay, when did we meet? I know in
That's
June of
I was trying to think
20,
of that too.
yeah, in June of 2019, I took my first vacation to Nashville. Like I had been to Nashville for retreats and for um songwriting trips and stuff like that. But I hadn't just been to Nashville just to be in Nashville. But while I was there, even though it was vacation, I wanted to work. So I remember reaching out to in one of the groups that we
Mhm.
both belonged to, the people that were in Nashville. But I think you were on vacation the week that I was on
Oh,
vacation in
okay.
Nashville. So that
But I
was
think
like
it was
our,
probably before that too. I thought didn't we do some stuff when I was back in Boston, or am I making that up?
I don't know. I think so. These are the two things that I remember are that trip, and you weren't able to do it that week, but I think we ended up doing our first write like a week or two later. But
Okay.
before that, I had reached out to people because we belonged to two groups at the time. We belonged to two groups that were the same, the Christian Indie Artists and Songwriters, which is Brian Bolivar's group, and then the Global
Yeah.
Songwriters Connection, Sharice Voltori's group. And so with Global Songwriters, we had both been on like the same pop events, publisher online pitches for
Yeah.
like weeks, and we both would have our songs taken, and it's like, oh, we need to like get together.
We need
And
to look
then
at
I had some sync stuff that I put out in the CIAS group, but I was like, hey, I need somebody who can produce. And so it was either one of those two. It was either when I was in Nashville reaching out to people, or when I was reaching out to people to produce, because I feel like we reached out to each other at the same
hmm
time.
I think I could have sworn I was trying to figure the first song that we had collaborated on. And I thought it was Win. Wasn't it Win, or
It
was it
was,
something else?
yeah,
That was
it
okay.
was,
Okay.
yeah, it was Win. So I was looking for a producer for Win. I had put together like a little work tape.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I had some publishers that were interested in it. So I was like, okay, this is worth investing in and getting it fully produced. But like nobody had any like issues with lyrics or anything. I just needed it produced, and I needed a male voice. And so that was the first thing that
Yeah.
we worked on. And that was successful in my eyes because, you know, it's currently signed to a publisher. So
Indeed, yeah.
just waiting for that phone call.
Sometimes it takes it. Sometimes that's what it is. When you celebrate each part of that success, getting it done, and then getting it with a party who can get something done with it, and then being patient, doing other things as well while we're waiting on that. So, don't stop.
Yeah. So then that, so yeah, so when was when we first met doing that together. And then we wrote Dust after that.
Wasn't it gift? Did we do gift week before that, or was it was Dust before that?
I think we did Dust before that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we did Dust before that. Dust was like July 2019.
Yeah, yep, you're spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was looking back at my memories yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 years since For Your Encouragement came out. For Your Encouragement is Jared's album. And if you've never listened to it, you need to go to his website and check it out because it's an amazing. I had it on repeat for months, the whole entire thing, not just the song that I co-wrote.
I appreciate that.
We wrote the song Dust together. That's on that. And that song, I mean, people still absolutely love that song.
To this day, we had had an event at church. Oh gosh, must have been about 2 years ago now. Or not at church. It wasn't at church. It was in the community, but our church had a tent set up. We were giving out CDs, and I had some money I was giving out. And a lady that took my CD there came to the church event later that same year and came up to me and said, "Oh, I love that album, Dust, #4 on the album. That's my favorite one." And I was like, so it's cool how it reaches people, and you record it, you put it out, and you don't know who it's going to impact or when, but your hope is that yes, somebody right now could be listening to it and it can be impacting them in a positive way. So yeah, that's always fun to think about.
Yeah, no, it's still one of my favorite songs that I've written to this day. Like, I remember I brought my dark and twisty lyrics. I was like, how deep do you want to go? Because I got some deep stuff.
It was needed. It was needed. People don't talk about when they're in the pit, like, of, wow, like my life, or I feel like my life is in shambles. And what do you do with that? So yeah, it worked perfectly with that. That's the picture we were trying to paint, right? Like, hey, somebody sitting in their car, life is shattered. Where do they go from here? And it was like, Lord, take this dust. That's all I am. Make a treasure. Only you can do something with this part of my life. So yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah. I sing it at church right before I do on Fifth Sundays. I sing original songs, and I sang it maybe I want to say, let's see, what's this, October? This year is flying.
Oh, it's already gone. I'm already at Christmas.
Ridiculous. But let's see. So last time I sang was May, September. I can't remember what the fifth Sunday was. Either May or the one before that.
Okay.
When there was Sunday, and I sang it, and I had a couple of people come up to me after church, and they were like, "What's that last song you sang? Is that one going to be on your EP?" I was like, "No, that's not on my EP. That's on my friend's album." But I just like doing my verse to it. Of course, it's in your key, not mine, so I have to make some adjustments. But
you could, though. That's a beautiful part about music. Is if you wanted to record it with them, you could.
So that's just one of the songs that we've written together. That was just the first one that we wrote together. We collaborated on When, then we wrote Dust together, which that was the first time like I had ever been with an artist who was like actively like, hey, I'm writing for this album and this is a song that I think I want to put on there. Yeah. I've had a couple of like artist co-writers that have released stuff. But if you go to my list of songs, I have a playlist with songs that I've written. Most of the songs on there that are songs I've written or co-written are songs that involve Jared and I.
Oh, cool. That works.
They're either Jared's songs or they're my songs that he produced. That's or they're songs that both of us wrote with other people.
Yeah. Like, work in tandem.
So, I mean, we worked together a lot, but we worked with a lot of other people. I know I got to bring it back. I got to bring Still back. I'm waiting because I got to reteach it to my team. Dave Quirk and I wrote Still, and then we brought Jared in production and vocals, and like it was just amazing. And we've written
I forgot about that one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Brianna Dominica, Alexa Valentino. Like we've written with a whole bunch of people. And then got to give a shout out to the fam, AJ Rags and Carrie Earl. We got something in the works going on there that I am
No.
chomping at the bit for that one to be done. But we've written a lot of stuff together. The latest song was about Jesus, Tell the World.
Yes. Yes.
That was released, how many? A few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
Was it?
So,
oh my gosh. At the beginning of September, I believe.
yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, the dates are just kind of all kind of
It's
together.
all
I'm like, yeah, that came out recently.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So when I met Jared, I was strictly Toni the songwriter, and that's it. Like I was adamant about my purpose, my job here is to help artists and write with artists and help them convey their thoughts. I'm a lyricist. It's a gift that I've had for a really long time, and that's all I want to do. Like I like staying in the background. I don't like the attention on me. I don't want to be an artist. I don't know how many times I said that to you and other people. I don't want to be an artist. I have no desire to be an artist. I'm not going to be an artist. Like that came out of my mouth a lot. All I can say at this point is like, never say never, because you just never know where God is going to move and shift and use you. And so like earlier when we were talking about dust and just talking about like people being in the depths of despair, and I think in the Christian music, gospel music, that is an area that is not like talked about as openly as it should be. There's a lot of people who are suffering, and in the church and outside of the church, like unbelievers, that they're looking for that hope. And so like this EP, Strength to Soar, came about because I wrote the song Strength to Soar. And it really was just like a writing exercise that I was doing. I sang it into my voice memo, and then I was like, I want to sing this to my church, because it was I wrote at the beginning of 2021. So 2020, I don't need to go into details. We all know what 2020 was. So it was the beginning of 2021, and I knew I really wanted to share the song with my congregation. So I reached out to Jared to do a track for the song, specifically for the purpose of sharing it with my congregation. And that was all. That was the purpose. So
Things happen.
yeah. So I did that, and then the congregation loved the song, and I got a lot of great feedback from people about the impact of that song. So I was like, okay, well, Jared, I want to record my vocal on it. Do you remember what you asked me when I said that?
I think I said, do you have it set up at home to record? I think. Did I say that?
You asked me like that, but you also asked me like, so why are you recording this?
Oh, okay.
Like
So
for what? Yeah. So we had to coordinate, because I was honestly, it's AJ's fault, because I was like jealous because AJ had been in studio with you, and I was like, I don't want to do it from home. I want to come to Tennessee, and I want to be in the same room with you and record, because I need you to like not just produce the record and mix the record. Like I need you to like direct. So yeah, you asked me for what purpose, and I was like, I don't know, to have. And maybe I'll release it. Like that was my whole attitude towards everything. So I was like, yeah. So that was like September 23rd, 2021 is when I went up to Nashville to record that. So just over a year ago.
Wow.
Shout out to Mindy and the kids for letting me invade your space.
I didn't realize that was the night before we moved to. Yeah, wow, I forgot about that. Yeah, because we had moved, I think, shortly after.
Yeah. So went up there, recorded that, and was content with, like, I truly, totally content, like, okay, I'm gonna get this recording and I'll hear it. And then I'll decide what I'm gonna do with it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like maybe a couple months later that I heard like the first mix of it.
Mm.
And at that point, I had written Overcome because I wrote Overcome a little less than a year ago, like on my way to work. Literally,
Okay.
I was on my way to work. The words were like coming to me in my brain, like really quickly. And I don't usually get words and melodies. So when that happens, I have to hit record.
Yep.
I have to like do a voice memo because I will forget it.
Yeah.
So I started singing it. And then on my lunch break, I sang it back, and then like the second, like it was just like it just invaded my whole
Mm-hmm.
mind.
You heard it like as the record. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Mm-hmm.
whole, like I could see the whole thing. Like you always talk about like picturing the like the movie, the
Yeah.
video, like
Yeah.
the like the vision of what's going on. Like it was
Yeah.
all just like
Nice.
flowing my mind. And so by the time I got the first uh mix of Strength to Soar, I had also written Overcome. So that's when I started thinking about releasing music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you told me this, but I know what was happening was Jared was praying about me releasing this music. I just have a feeling.
I always am on the side of, if you're creating something, being a fellow creative, if you're creating something, understanding, yeah, the purpose, and not stifling that, not putting it under a bushel, not saying, okay, I'm just gonna hide this thing. Okay, this is something I've created. How far can I go with this? I think we too often, many creatives, we limit ourselves. Oh, it's just gonna be this, or it's just gonna be that. And yeah, I think part of that is limiting kind of your own uh, potential, but also limiting, taking the power of God and say, okay, well, it's not really going to be anything. Well, who's to say, and who are you to stop it from impacting somebody who it could potentially impact? So yeah, so I'm always on the side of, hey, how far can this go? Yeah, yeah, why not? Right?
It was definitely there was a lot of prayer involved. And like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this? Because I just a little like background, and I don't even know if I may have discussed this with you or not, but I have had issues with confidence in my voice for a very long time. I did not learn how to sing in choir, chorus, gospel choir. I learned how to sing on the stage in musical theater. So everything that I like, my process of learning how to sing was like learning how to sing to reach the back of a theater. So everything is about power and drama. Like that's, and I never really felt like I had my own voice. And then when I did feel like I sang in a voice that was my own, I got criticisms for that voice that made me not confident in it from, just from like people listening to work tapes or like going to auditions for musical, going to auditions for vocal competitions and things like that. That was another reason that was holding me back from releasing music as an artist was I don't feel like I fit into I don't have a gospel enough voice, but I was told this. My voice is too powerful for CCM. I was actually told that. Um, and, and so when I sing in church, as growing up singing in church and singing in church now, like if I'm leading a song, I learned how to sing by mimicking whoever sung the song.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I learned how to, conceptualize notes and dynamics and things. It's just following along with the record. That was my process. But singing in my own voice, my own songs, I had no one to mimic, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you don't want it to not be your authentic self. So part of it was I didn't want people to miss the message because they were like, what is this voice that the message is coming from? So I had to push past that barrier. And actually hearing the mix of Strength to Soar and playing that for some people and like hearing that back, it was like, okay, I don't know what these people have been talking about. Like, this sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jimmy put some magic on it in the studio.
I brought out what was there. That's all we do as engineers. We bring out what's already there.
So, so I knew I had 2 songs, but 2 songs does not an EP make, or maybe it does, but I don't know. So
I think it's at least 4 or 5. I think, I don't know. The rules change all the time. I have no idea.
Right. So I said, okay, I need help. Like, if we're gonna do this, you got to tell me what we're doing. So I sent over like, what was it, like 8 or 9?
No, I think 9. Yeah, I think 9.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm sending these 9 songs. Okay, one of them's Strength to Soar and one of them's Overcome, and those are there. So of the remaining songs,
yep.
Which other ones do you think would go, with those 2 songs to do that? And so obviously the songs that are on the EP were in that. I was trying to think of the other songs that I sent you. I know.
I was looking at my phone, but I'm recording on it.
Yeah, I know I sent one that another one that Scott Barrier and I wrote, which was I think that actually there were 2 more that Scott and I wrote. One was Without the Dark.
Okay.
Which is more, we actually wrote that more as like a gospel pop sync kind of thing. It's still a cool song that I want to get done one day. And then Flawless.
Okay, yeah. I remember that. Yep.
We had that was one of them. I can't remember. I think there was one more, but
1 or 2 more.
And 1 or 2 more. And I was kind of like, so we know what ended up on there. So I just wanted to kind of like pick your brain about like why you suggested those.
Yes. Well, so as soon as you said, okay, Strength to Soar's on there and Overcome, I kind of knew the feel of those. So I said, okay, my first thought is, all right, we need something tempo, right? We need something tempo. And so that's where Don't You Worry, which is one of my favorites. So I'm already thinking about the package of the EP, right? You don't want to have all slower songs. You don't want to have all fast songs. You want to have a good mix. So I was starting to think tempo-wise, and also feel-wise, because I already kind of had in mind, oh, here's how I would produce this. So I knew, like, you chose me as an example, and even before I get into topic-wise, like the ones that fit together message-wise, I knew that, okay, well, here's some styles that you can do that gives a nice collection and a nice showcase of your different sounds. But topically, it all made sense too. Thinking about, Don't You Worry, Overcome, Strength to Soar. It's like, okay, a lot of there's a message here collectively in all this. So yeah, I think it started there in terms of which ones. And as I played them back, there were ones that I said, oh, well, now maybe not in this collection. Okay, these fit best together. So ultimately, after hearing them, when I settled on those, because you still have the final say, of course, I said, okay, in my ear, here's what I'm hearing in terms of the collection that should go together. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because did you watch Fraggle Rock growing up?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so for anybody who watches this, so on Fraggle Rock, there's the character Wembley. He's the little yellow guy, okay? And he cannot make a decision. And so they like named that Wembling because his name was Wembley. And I am a grade A Wembler. So like going back and forth between, should I do this one or should I do that one or should I? So the songs that I sent you were songs where I was like, okay, these are songs where, although I could definitely foresee someone else recording this in their own voice, these are songs that I could see hearing in my voice, in my authentic voice, not me trying to cater this to someone else. Because, when you're writing music, you have to have in your mind, okay, who am I writing this for? Like, who would I pitch this to? And so there's a lot of songs that I have that I'm like, this is not a song that I would ever sing per se, because I'm writing this towards this particular artist style or this particular genre.
Mm-hmm.
But those were all songs that I was like, okay, I could hear my voice on this. I could hear other people's voices on it, but I could hear my genuine, authentic voice on these.
Mm-hmm.
And so it came down to doing 5 or 6 songs. And I said, you know what? 5 in the Bible stands for the Holy Spirit. So we're going to go with 5.
Took 5.
So we did 5. I was like, 5 seems like a nice round number to me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go with 5. So that's what we did. So we already had Strength to Soar and the vocals recorded from last September. So this was like January-ish that we were going through the process of saying, okay, these are the songs that are going to be on the EP. Then we had to figure out, okay, now how are we going to get these songs recorded? Because like I said earlier, I was like, I don't want to not be in the studio with you when I'm recording these, especially after, you know, I just heard AJ's and then I actually experienced it for myself. Okay. You see that little sweet face there? Okay. In the studio, he's still sweet, but he also pushes you. Okay.
You get into it.
Jared is going to pull the best out of you, even if it means singing the same line over and over and over and over again. And then he's like, okay, now sing it like you actually mean it. Now sing it like you actually are feeling it. Now sing it with some emotion behind it. Like, what are you thinking? Like, and I'm going to keep that. But let's try it one more time. I need that. You know, so I knew that I needed that. I considered recording down here in Florida with one of my friends, but I was like, you know, by the time I drive to him 3 hours away with like gas and studio time and all that, like I might as well just book a flight to Tennessee, like, and just come on up. So I don't know about you, but that's probably one of the craziest things I've ever done.
To try to do it, because it was a lot of preparation. Like, that's the thing. We had to ensure that, okay, we were going to have as much pre-production and production done so that when you get here, you can cut as many vocals, if not all the vocals you needed to do, so that when you left, it was, okay, I have everything that I need to continue with the production, and not, oh, dang, we got to get some more, because then either that's the flight or you figuring out, okay, yeah, I got to do this down here. So, but we did it. We did it.
We did it.
I was surprised I was like, I didn't know we were going to get it, honestly. But I think organically it's because both of you knew we didn't need a lot, right? We knew production was there, the lyrics were there, and we weren't trying to do too much. That's another thing. With some people having studios and access to different things, it's easy to say, okay, we can just do a whole bunch. We never get done that way. You know, so sometimes it does take, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it impactful. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Because if we took advantage of, hey, we have the ability to do as much, we probably would have gotten 1 or 2 songs. That was it. So yeah, it was good that we kind of got on it. Prepared.
It was very focused. And I appreciated the fact, like, I had the tracks beforehand, so I was able to practice. I was able to go over, okay, this is the riff I want to do here, or this is how I want to bend this, or to, you know, like I tell my students all the time, I'm like, when you're practicing something and you don't get it, write down the question. And I had questions. I was like, okay, what do you think sounds better here? Or I don't even know what to do here. Do you have any ideas? Like, what, you know, like, this is kind of what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it vocally. And the beautiful thing about you being a vocalist is you're able to, like, sing things to me. And I, because I've learned by mimicking, am able to, like a little parrot, mimic it right back, you know, after a few tries for some of the stuff, but mimic it right back. But here's how God works, right? So even though I, you know, planned on being in the background, I had been in a studio before. I have recorded vocals. I have recorded background vocals for people. I have done, you know, I started off, my parents, when I was 21, my 21st birthday present was a 4-track recorder. I still have it in my back storage room. Little cassette tape recorder and I could, because I was in an a cappella group in college and I love harmonizing. Like I just love harmonizing. So like you think about things like that and in the moment they don't seem like huge things, but it's like all that preparation from, I'm 44 now, so that was 23 years ago. My parents bought me that 4-track recorder, and I used to use it all the time. I would just take like for writing songs, or I would take songs that I liked on the radio and like put my little harmonies to it and make like a background tape so I could sing stuff a cappella in other places with the, the background harmonies and stuff. And like every single one of those experiences lined up because God knew that one day I was going to have to wake up at 4:00 in the morning, fly to Nashville, and drive in the snow.
Was it snowing?
It was snowing.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
It was snowing.
Yeah.
I had to drive in the snow to Jared's. I was freezing, okay, and record 4 songs. Like I was like, okay, I've been in the studio enough to know that it usually takes me, if I'm doing just a lead vocal, it will take me like 45 minutes to an hour to get songs. Cause you have to book, most studios, you have to book a minimum of 2 hours. So most of the time when I go in the studio to do like a demo or tape, I was like, I know that usually takes me like, I'll get 3 songs done in the 2 hours that I book. I was like, if I can get 3 songs done in 2 hours when I'm doing a demo, I knew obviously this was going to be a little bit deeper than that. Like we're looking for, all those levels and layers, but I was like, I think we can do this in 8 hours. So I literally like booked a flight leaving out of Jacksonville, like 6:00 in the morning. My flight leaving out of Tennessee was out of B&A was at 6 p.m. I was like, okay, by the time I get to your house, and I had to leave your house
Yep.
to get back to the airport. We're going to have like 8 hours. Okay. And we got to get done whatever we can get done. And hopefully we can get it all done because I don't know if I can do this again.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. You did.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we came in like, and we got it done. We started off with 100,000 Heartbeats because in my mind brain, 100,000 Heartbeats was the only song that had background vocals. So I was like, let's start with the one that's going to take the most because it's going to need background vocals. And I'm going to, we're going to have to do like all these different harmonies and stuff. And so I knew that was, I was like, if we do the one that takes the longest first, we can kind of gauge our time from there. But Mr. Jones had other ideas about background vocals.
Who was next? And what was after that? It was Don't You Worry after that, right?
It was Don't You Worry after that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So and I think before, as I was hearing it, I did hear some of that beforehand, but also being, producing the vocal at that time, you're going to start to hear certain things. Oh, let's try this. Because at the same time, you want to keep it simple, but you also want to honor the recording. You want to honor whatever's there and say, okay, oh yeah, this needs this. And of course, you can always take it out if it's like, nah, this doesn't fit or it's too much. But as you start hearing stuff, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is making it. This is building it. So yeah, we did that.
And don't get me wrong, I loved it. I mean, I love, like you said earlier, that Don't You Worry is without a doubt the most popular song on the EP. It's the song on the most playlists. It is a song that is near and dear to my heart. First and foremost, because I have struggled with anxiety my whole entire life. And that song was actually written out of that struggle. That song was written 18 years ago. It has had several different versions over time. I just had another memory that popped up yesterday. It was a semi-finalist in this Songwriter Universe Song of the Year competition. Oh, wow. It was a semi-finalist. I can't remember. I think maybe 2015. So that's 7 or 8 years ago that happened. And it was a song that I pitched. It was the first song that a publisher ever took. But every time I got a chance to talk to the publishers after they took it, they said, it's close. It's close. And I always knew that the reason that it was maybe close and not there is because it wasn't how I originally had envisioned it. So when we talked about that song, I was like, okay, yes, I sent you this work tape that I put together with my very limited production skills.
It was
I had
fun.
down some of the lyrics, but I was like, I want you to forget what you hear production wise on that. This is what I need. I need horns. I need jazz, blues. Like I need like this in my mind. It has always been a song that had like these heavy horns, like you're like, just a swing to it. Like, and from the moment Jared sent me the bass line for that song, I was like, that's it. That's what I'm hearing. And it's crazy because 2012 was the first time I went to get it done. And I had played that work tape on the guitar. And so we kind of went into like a pop direction. And I actually really do love like the original version of the song. I love it. There's, my family still has a hard time like not singing the original version because they heard it for so many years. But I was like, this is the one that I was thinking of, but it was hard to express on a guitar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the same kind of thing happened with 100,000 Heartbeats because I had like the guitar work tape that I had sent to you, but 100,000 Heartbeats is meant to be a piano song. So I think that was the hardest one to like with as far as like the instrumentation, like the feel was there, but like to that actual like piano instrumentation, right? That took a hot minute, but we got it there. We got it.
Yeah. And it's funny because even as a producer, like key wise, I'm like, okay, it sounds like this, but I think it's something like this. And so that was one, and I'm glad we had that kind of go back and forth. Say, okay, well, here's what anything that changed it. That was very important to kind of get it, because that would have, if you had gotten here and it hadn't been ready, that might have been, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's only one less song on the EP. You don't want, you at least want to have it available to, if you wanted to, like you did, release a song there and then put the collection out. So yeah, some go like that. Some go as smoothly as, don't you worry. And you chose me. Someone's like, okay, well, this is going to take a little work for me to get it. Because sometimes I'm hearing something and it's not exactly, and then it has to, be close and get there. So.
Yeah. And you chose me. I think of the 9 songs that I sent you, that was probably my number 9. Like that was
wow.
Like, and I honestly, I don't know if I expected you to pick that one, but after I heard the production for it, I was like, now I know why he picked this, because this is you chose me that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Well, and you can hear that on, because we have already done more of the kind of organic, like Strength To Soar, Overcome, has a live drum instrumentation and that. So I had the strings, and you chose it. Was like, okay, well, this is more of a kind of R&B-ish kind of feel to it. I'm like, oh yeah, and I love it. So when I feel productions like that, yeah, and that for me, that gave you that song. Even Don't You Worry, those are completely different flavors, but they work for you,
Right, and it's just awesome to see how it all ends up fitting together, because in your mind in the beginning, it's like, I don't know how this will work together. Like these are different songs, and that's been a struggle for me, because people would say, okay, well, what genre do you write? And I'm like, all of them. Like like I can write urban gospel, I can write southern gospel, I can write like gospel pop, I can write CCM, I can write worship, like. And so when you can do all of those things, it's hard sometimes to like hone in. And I knew I had all these different styles of ways that I've written, but it's like you said, you have to, like, when the messages fit together, and then it was just amazing to me, and probably because I have one person producing it, that, melodically it comes together in a way that's like organic, and it feels like these songs were always meant to go together. But it also kind of gives you a little insight into the process. Like, you think about, for us as songwriters, taking off the artist hat, as songwriters, when we're pitching a song to an artist, like, now I have a clearer understanding of like wow, you got to listen to this song and that song and this song. And
Mm.
you might even get to the point where you record a song and then you go, that doesn't fit with the rest of this, or you record a song and you're like, that it's out of sync or whatever. And so now I think it's also helping me because the hardest part of what we do is like the rejection part to me, because it's like,
Mm.
I know these songs are good. I've had songs that were like on hold that, don't get recorded. So I know that they're at that level.
Yeah.
But now I know, now that I've been through this process, that there's other things that go into it besides you having a great song. That great song then also has to fit into the theme and into the whole entire package
Yeah.
of what that artist is trying to do. So now I feel like I can take it a little less personally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring that up. There's a song that a fellow brother had reached out to collaborate with me on, and I said, okay, we'll check it out. And for like, I've been sitting on it for like about a couple weeks now, and I said, actually, like artistically, I don't think I can get to that space where you were when you wrote it. And so even in that, like, and I've never really done that before. I felt it before, but now, like you mentioned, I'm getting more. If I'm going to choose to collaborate on something, like, okay, am I in that space right now? To be able to do that and to honor that. So like as an example, Dust I couldn't record right now, right? Because I'm in a different space. So yeah, so it is interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up because rejections or no non-answers, the same thing. You don't hear anything back because it's rejection. I flipped that early on as I started. I was like, okay, well, I got to find this song a home. It's like, okay, well, it's not the song. Is this song that's not for that opportunity? I got to find, and that's actually when I started recording initially. This is back in like 06, 07. And I wasn't getting certain, placements or things like that. I would say, oh, I need to put this out. And so I'm glad it worked like that for you, where some of these songs that you release now, you may have thought were shut down from opportunities. Well, it was truly meant for you to be the vessel through which it comes. And I think that needs to happen a lot more, to be honest with you. For any songwriters listening, it needs to happen a lot more. If a song isn't getting picked up, perhaps it's either you who's supposed to release it, or perhaps you're supposed to maybe not go out with a major artist, or just find somebody whose voice you love and say, hey, I want to partner on this and go from there. But songs need to get out. I'm a big believer in that. If you know the song is good and I want this to reach people, do not let anything like if it's pitched and it's not getting picked up, don't let ever anything like that stop you. Just say, okay, maybe I need to pivot. Maybe that's not the opportunity for it. Maybe I need to find another way to ensure the song gets out and go from there. There's a huge stigma, oh my gosh, with that. And I know I felt it personally early on. I know a lot of people feel that now. If something is not taken, or it's not there, it's not there for them. They don't need it for them. They're hundreds of people. And you, right? If you'll get to the point if you're recording another EP or another album at some point where people start sending you songs, Toni, and you're like, yeah, but and then when you start turning out, it's like, okay, I get it now. All right. Right, but songs are good. Do what you can with that song, but it's not for this project. So, yeah, never take that stuff personally.
Yeah. It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I think Cherie is the one who first said to me, like, every no is one step closer to a yes. So like I'm learning to, like I said, this process has really helped me to see that, and I think that helps me as a songwriter to say, okay, it's not the song. Now that's not me being haughty. I definitely have written some bombs, like they're terrible and they will never see the light of another day. Thank you, Joy. Joy says, congrats, Toni. Your voice is beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you. But there's definitely some songs that should never see the light of another day. And like, I've heard it several times. Most recently, I heard it with an interview with Brian Bolivar and Ross King, where they say you gotta like have a really good suck meter. Like you gotta know, like, okay, yeah, I wrote this, I got it out of me, but this is like absolute bullshit. We should not do anything with that.
You know what? I would challenge us together. We gotta have another one of these lives talking about the songwriting. Oh my, because you know how I feel about a lot of this. There are, okay, I'm biased. I'll say that already. I'm very biased. And I say that because I know many people love getting in the room and writing and right? And to throw out ideas, right? I'm not that guy. Like, I'm that guy who will internalize and really get picky about stuff before I write it down, before I present it. And so when I hear a lot about the rewriting the chorus, like, for me, that's a part of my own process, you know? So I'm like, well, the only stuff that will end up coming out of me, I hope, and again, that's going to be all in my mind. It's like, I'm already trying to do that revisiting and revisiting stage at the initial stage, right? And maybe that's different for a lot of writers, but I've come to, like, okay, well, it's not that I don't want to throw this idea out. It's like, no, I want to put forth what's only going to come out of me is what I want to. If not, if I would have revisited over and over, okay, that line's not gonna, it's not even gonna come out because I've already done that kind of initial. I don't know. Part of it, the dare to suck thing, right? Hey, well, how do you know the fifth idea you thought might not be something, right?
Yeah.
And so part of it might be I'm not gonna realize some song that I could have created because I've had too much of that kind of initial cutting, you know. But no, that's just the way I work. So, but I think, yeah, for ultimately, any songwriter, find what works best for you so that you can continue to get joy out of the writing and creative process and do that, whatever that is. Yeah.
That is a huge thing. I had a conversation with another person that we've both written with, Patrick Dodge. We wrote You Are with him. Yeah. And I met up with him. It was when we went to the winter, I think it was winter 2019 when we went
mixer,
to the
right?
ESC winter mixer.
Yes.
So he and I sat down and wrote before that, and I was like, Patrick, I feel like I'm not doing everything that I can do because, you know, I hear all these people that are talking about, well, you need to like write every single day and you need to do this and you need to try to make a goal of a number of songs that you want to. And for me, that was just creating like a lot of stress and anxiety and taking the joy out of it. So my process is more of making sure that when I do hear it, like I said with Overcome, like when I do hear it, I don't ignore it. Because songs come at me in waves. Like, you know, there are some seasons where I'm not writing down anything but titles and ideas. And then there are some seasons where I get a whole thing, or I at least get, you know, a verse and a chorus. Yeah. And so I have to make sure when those moments come for me that I dial in. For other people. And I did have a point in time where I would sit down and write. I would sit down for at least 1 hour every day and I would write, and it didn't matter. And that's where some of that, those garbage songs came.
I got, yeah.
And some of those, and I was like, yeah, this shall never see the light of another day. Yeah. It's not, this was meant to like, you know, pump out that stuff so I could get to the clear. You know, get to the good stuff. So, what I wanted to kind of wrap this up with is, what are you working on, my brother? Like, what's coming up? What's coming down the pipe for you?
I ain't doing nothing. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know, to be honest, it's interesting because if you look at my Spotify, you'll see like a lot of singles, right? And not a lot of albums. I don't right now, and it's funny because we talk, okay, well, how many songs you got sitting in your voice recorder or whatever? Probably 98 ideas. And like 50 of those are like solid, full-on song arrangement. But I haven't really sat down, or I don't feel. When I got For Your Encouragement, as an example, For Your Encouragement came out of a prayer. Lord, I'm in Nashville now. What do you want me to do? And I heard my spirit. You're an encourager. I want you to encourage. And it like clear as day. So I knew that was the season for that. Right now, it's really just all about what messages need to be heard right now. So I guess this is breaking news. I haven't even recorded this one yet. So I have one called, it's a very simple one called Come to Me. Very simple. I thought it's going to be very simple. I'm going to record it. I'm going to put it very soon. But it's going to be another single. So I don't know. I don't think full-on project-wise, I'm really just trying to do an honor whatever idea God gives me, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'll focus solely on that. So no full-on project in terms of an album or anything. I am starting to do. I want to start focusing a lot more as well on film and TV licensing, because that as well as my Christian gospel artist project. And because that for content and I like creating. I like creating pop and songs that it's like, okay, this is an instrumental, no lyrics, but this is like just feel good music. So I want to do more of that as well. So that's kind of, for me, that's what I got going on, at least in my head now. That could change within a month or two. Who
knows? Yeah, Joy just said, yes, definitely quality over quantity, and yes to seasons. I'm a believer in that. I'm like, Lord, just help me to make the most out of whatever season you have me in right now, and there's this whole project kind of, for me, came out of nowhere, but obviously God saw it coming. And it kind of is fitting for the last song, Overcome, that I released with the EP. The scriptures behind that are like Proverbs 16:9, like you make your plans, but God's purpose will fail. Yeah, like those, all of those scriptures, and, his way is perfect. And, man makes many plans, but, the Lord like orders his steps. So like I said, this was not where I thought I would be, but God knew exactly where I would be. And, even like I talked way back in 2004 writing Don't You Worry, but even before that, as he was forming me in the womb, he knew that in this moment, this is where I'd be. He knew that in this moment, this is where you'd be. But I'm grateful to you because you helped me kind of push through all of the noise that was telling me, and even noise of my own making that was telling me this is not for you. Like, you're not meant to be an artist. You are a shy introvert. You do not need to be out there with your face out there and people knowing who you are and people being able to like get in contact with you. You don't want that. That's not what you want. So I like pushed past all of that. I had to push past like I said earlier, like criticisms about, not fitting into a certain thing, about, not fitting into a certain sound. And even that's even come with the release of this music. Like, the beautiful thing of doing this as an independent artist, don't get me wrong, I want millions upon millions of people to hear these songs. I do. And I pray all the time, Lord, I would like maximum impact on this music. I want to touch as many hearts and reach as many souls as possible for the kingdom of God through this music. And whether that means it's another artist listens to this song and says, I want to record my own version of it, and that artist already has, a bigger, audience than I do. Like, however it happens, that's in God's hands. That is what I want. But at the same time, in the process of this and like learning about promoting and stuff, I've still been told like, well, I don't really know where that fits. Well, I don't know if this fits. This doesn't have enough piano, and this is not like, and like all these little things. And in the past, that would have discouraged me. And I'm not going to lie and say that at some points things didn't discourage me, and I'm right now still working on not looking at numbers in the moment and obsessing over them. But but I have to say that it's from working with you that like I have gotten the courage to say, okay, I am putting this music out there. I'm being obedient to God in the season that he has me in. I'm doing something with this music. It now has a home. It can have many other homes in its lifetime. Ultimately, that is, as a songwriter, like ultimately someone saying, hey, I know you put this song out there, but I want to put my spin on it. Like that is, I have no problems with that whatsoever.
I'm going to go back to something you said.
Yes.
And this is why we have to do another live. We have to. For songwriters and artists, especially now, we're given this vision. Like even here on social media, we're given, or we kind of see it ourselves. Ooh, this is what an artist is doing. Ooh, there's the numbers. Here's the expectation. We do that ourselves, and unfortunately, that is heightened. That volume increases when you hear from other people. Oh, it doesn't have this, doesn't have it. And one of the things that I encourage you to think about, and everybody to think about, I know Marvin Sapp, my favorite gospel artist. I've never reached out to him, but one of his albums was very impactful in my life. He doesn't know that, right? I never told him, never reached out. So think about that person. I tell this to many people again. Think about that person who could be without the world now, being impacted, not overcome. You're never going to hear from them. God knows the impact it's making, right? But we don't see those posts on social media, right? We don't see that as Facebook and Instagram likes, because those are numbers. But you have to know just as much as music from artists that have been dead and gone long before has impacted us. In the same way, our songs and our music and our voice and our gifts that we're using, that's glorifying God, will be used, especially if it's soaked and saturated with the word. It will be used for its purpose, and maybe it's not going to be back to us, so that we can get the word first to get. But knowing, like you said, that we've been obedient and not listening to, well, he's that. Well, the song is out. So may God bless it, and may right, with the work that we're doing in promoting it, but promoting it to ensure that it gets to listeners that it can impact, not promoting it for numbers, not promoting it for anything else other than, hey, I want to just ensure more people hear this so it can impact people more. I think if we stay within that zone, within that flow, I really think that any artist that's in that, it will be unstoppable, because we're not looking. And again, I get caught up. We all get caught up in it. We really do. But the more we can remind ourselves about the person who's being impacted, I may never hear from, still focus on them. Gold. So that's
That is so good. And, God just used you to answer prayers, because we've been having some talks the last couple of days about this. So I know, you might not have known it, but I know, that whole thing, I never even thought about it like that. Every interview that I've done, I've said, Tremaine Hawkins has had, the biggest influence on my life, musically. Her music literally saved my life. I was at a very low point one time, and it was one of her songs that brought me out of doing something crazy in that moment. And so, but yes, I have tried to reach her, but she's off the grid. And so no, she doesn't know unless she's seen one of my interviews, or she's I have tried to find a Twitter or Instagram or something to reach out. Listen, you have really impacted my life, but I can't find anything that I know is actually getting her. And you're right. When we think about it like that, we don't know the actual impact. And I should know that, as a teacher, I should know that. I have no idea, lives that have been impacted by me as a teacher. I know who I've taught, and well, I'm getting old and I can't remember all the names anymore, but I know I've taught 1,000 or more, thousands of kids between being a substitute and being a full-time teacher. And, you just never know the ripple effect of any of that. But like Joy just said, God knows the real numbers. If your song changed somebody one time, and I have to keep that as a focus. And I think a lot of artists have to keep that as a focus, because we get caught up in comparison and in the numbers game and stuff. And, for me, I'm my prayers have been okay, Lord, was this really what you wanted me to do, or was I forcing it? Going back to me being a Wimbler, I'm always second guessing, was this really what I was supposed to do? And so one of the ways I've been looking to kind of measure that is okay, what's the impact that I can see? And you're absolutely right. I'm not going to see the whole impact. And that's where, faith comes in, and I have to just know and really be in tune with God and the Holy Spirit to know, this is stop second guessing.
Well, I'll give you another one. This is hard to do. But sometimes, maybe instead of a post, or instead of take some time to scroll through people following you, or go to some blogs or some just different places and some Facebook groups that your message can reach. I got to reach but just go and look at people's stories. And perhaps you'll come across somebody that, yeah, will touch you, they'll reach out to the person. And next thing you know, just that one connection could be everything, right? So yeah, we just do different things, and we remember, wow, we want our music to impact people. How often are we looking and watching what people are saying who could use this message, or use a song, and not because we want them to hear it. I have a message in this. I think it'll help you. Take a risk. And yeah, I think things like that. The more we do, the more I think that we'll realize. The more God will see this is what it's about. Because you can have, right? Hey, if the Lord blesses us with awards and millions, okay, cool. But what's it really about? Like, for me, it's gold if somebody says, "Wow, your song changed my life," worth more than any of that. So yeah, that has to be the focus. Has to still be the focus. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that is a perfect place to wrap this up. Definitely have to get together.
We're doing another one. Yes, we have to. This is my first live in like a long time. I don't really go live.
Now that we got the technical part down and we know how to get everything started and do all that, like we definitely have to do a part 2. But I appreciate you and your time, and God bless you and your family and your music and everything that you're doing, because like I said, I'm like eternally grateful to you for being one of the people who pushed me in a gentle and loving and compassionate way.
Do it for the kingdom. It's kingdom work.
And do it. And we, like, everything we do is for the kingdom. So thank y'all that have tuned in, and I'll thank in advance the people that will watch this on replay. Later it will be, I'm going to post it back here to YouTube, to Instagram. And then I'm also post it on my YouTube and my Facebook page, Toni LaShaun Music. So thank you so much. If you haven't heard the EP, it's called Strength to Soar. It's on all your favorite streaming platforms. If you go to ToniLaShawnMusic.com, you can hear, or you can find where you can listen to it. And Jared, what's your website?
I forgot. No, I'm kidding. JaredKFJones.com. JaredKFJones.com. Quick shout out to Joy, who's been so active in the comments. Joy, we appreciate this. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. God bless you, brother. And I'm thankful to have